Okay, you guys, so today is August 13th, Monday. It is 6:08 p.m. and around 1 o'clock, the mayor, Paxton Branch, posted a note. And see, this is my thing about pride going before a fall. People can tell you what you need to know, but it's up to you to, one, utilize the information, and to admit to yourself that you may not know what you need to know. Lost that one battle, but still win the war. So he says, focusing on the facts, not on opinions. Greetings, citizens, and I'm just going to basically jump around to the parts that I'm going to address. The city of Tallulah is governed under the Lawson Act, which gives the mayor the authority to be called the chief executive officer. Now here, the Lawson Act states that, city, local elected officials have the right to establish rules for their city. So I guess he's saying that he is legally in his rights to be called a chief executive officer, which, if we're going to say it like that, then yes, sir, you're absolutely right. You have that, and we're going to continue to address that in a few seconds. When last checked, the city of Tallulah has a total of 5 districts. The city has been so focused on only 3 council members that they have forgotten about the other 2 city council members. Now, all 5 council members have a vote. Ms. Day and Mr. Finlayson have been on the council for years prior to now. Sims, Robinson, and Whitney are new. And so we have what you would call an upheaval of old traditional ways. And what the mayor is basically saying is they need to be more like Miss Day and Mr. Finlayson, who've helped to, deplete the resources for the city by not demanding a detailed budget. We've great citizens, and again, I'm just skipping around. We have lost the respect for authority in this great city. I'm the citizen of Tallulah, meaning my concerns and thoughts counts. Now, he goes down and says this came because of strong leadership of the mayor. Now, remember who's supposed to be writing this. The mayor is supposed to be writing this. This came because of strong leadership of the mayor and the unwillingness to do right from the city council. And he's referring to what he considers to be a midnight today in 4 years upheaval or turnaround, when we've got a 40-year depleted water system. Our roads are 25 to 30 years behind. So I'm trying to figure out, what did he see turn for midnight today? My concern is with the rest of the citizens of Tallulah. The truth behind the matter, Tallulah has been saved from the steady declining of life. I want to get to where he basically calls himself Mayor Branch. I have nothing against Mayor Branch, and I've watched how this city has turned from midnight today in 4 years. That's what it was. I got beside myself, so eager to respond. He then signs it, best regards, Paxton J. Branch II, President, not Mayor, Citizens Working Together, LLC, Tallulah, Louisiana. So now let's address the issues. First and foremost, as an elected official, can you, during the time of election, when you're trying to pass a sales tax, you're trying to get certain things over in the agenda of what you want done when voters have to go to the polls, can you, one, tell them that they're not listening to authority, and 2, can you promote your own LLC, which is possibly making money to fund your campaign? Now, no, you cannot do that, you guys. You cannot do that. It is, not only is it against the law, it's against the Internal Revenue Code. Contributions to political campaign funds or public statements of position, verbal or written, made on behalf of the organization in favor of or in opposition to any candidate for public office clearly violates the prohibition against political campaign activity. Violating this prohibition may result in denial or revocation of tax-exempt status and the imposition of certain excise taxes. So, he has a limited liability corporation. So you could say, well, there is no tax exempt status for that. However, if you own a limited liability corporation, they are prohibited as well because it is a privately owned company. You cannot make a political statement standing behind a limited liability corporation that you are partnered in while you are an elected official. Now, when Trump got elected into office, I saw happen nationally what I've seen happen locally my whole life. Okay? I've seen people utilize the fact that most people, one, don't want to read. You may know your ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and you can spell, but you don't want to sit down and actually read a code book or actually learn codes. So they can throw Lawson at you all day long. They weren't even pronouncing it right until I came on here and said that it was the Lawson Act. Before they were saying Lawson, before they were saying Larson, and it shows us that people are taking advantage of the fact that they know that we as citizens as a whole, because I as one person, I can't do it. I've left here and gone to Georgia, Tennessee, and Kansas. And I've come back because my family felt like I needed to have their say-so with my children. Their father included, we're married and all that crap like that. And I'm trying to work with these people because I understand that we are, even if we're educated, education does not mean you lack ignorance. You can still be ignorant and have a degree. And so people weren't paying attention to what I was saying. So I just came back because I'm not going to leave my sons here. But this is why. Because as long as it's a man, and as long as he has a lovely wife and a beautiful family, and he pastors a church, we are willing to listen to anything this man say. We're brainwashed. That's what I was saying when they were saying about the Illuminati early on. If you look at some of my early videos, they're not as together as these videos, but they were saying it. The Illuminati, the Koch brothers, the Vanderbilts, they want you to turn against all these people who put up their money to help to orchestrate the infrastructure, as if they're supposed to be the ones to pay to get it fixed again. They set up the infrastructure. Then the cities and the government are supposed to upkeep it. Let's not get lost in the sauce. That's them folks' money. This is a capitalist nation. We're not communists. Their right is to be millionaires, just like our right is to pay taxes. Well, no, our job is to pay taxes and our rights are to protest. So let's continue on. So I looked up the Federal Elected Commission, and I wanted to let our elected officials know that 3 or more of you cannot comment on a post on Facebook. Otherwise, you would be in violation of government. So Whitney, Sims, and Robinson, do your best to not comment on Facebook. Let's not join this hype. Trump. And there are certain things on Facebook as well as online. Google is about to be like Yahoo. It's about to be a new search engine. And I'm not psychic. I'm a historical follower. I follow history. And if you follow history, you'll know that certain things are precursors to certain things. So Yahoo once was the best search engine. When I tried to search up these laws on Google, Google is leaning towards Trump's side more so. A lot of brand new websites post up where they were saying about elected officials can call themselves CEOs. So we're going to discuss that. If they are a CEO, what are our rights as shareholders? Because if you're a CEO, Mayor, your taxpayers are shareholders, and you still can't deny us the books calling yourself the CEO. So I also wanted to share that government funds cannot be allocated towards pushing a particular candidate or referendum. So the fact that the mayor sits in his office that is at City Hall, rides around in a truck that is bought by city money, types on a computer that is funded by taxpayers' dollars, and he signs his LLC, as well as intimidates the public by saying that we need to be more like Miss Day and Mr. Finlayson and not support Sims, Robinson, and Whitney. He's basically in violation again. You cannot do that. As an elected official, you cannot allocate us to do what you want done just because it's sales tax season. Now, if he'd have just got on there and promoted vote yes for the sales tax, that's fine. But I can understand why people like Branch and people like Trump can't stay away from the computer. I mean, don't you have an assistant? Isn't that Miss Yvonne Lewis's job to put out certain public relations things? And shouldn't she do that from the City of Tallulah page? And shouldn't there be a website set up? And shouldn't there be press releases given to Madison Journal and those people like, hey, I'm here, I'm a press person? Should we be giving this information so that we can share it for you as opposed to you taking those risks? But because you're isolating yourself from your public, because you are not allowing yourself to listen to your citizens, the people who may not agree with you but would like to see you succeed, because all of us would succeed, you're feeling threatened by, and you're not willing to step up and listen so that we can all progress forward together. Okay. An LLC is treated as a partnership, basically establishing a sect is what he's doing by promoting his LLC. He's basically saying that whomever is a part of this LLC is definitely Citizens Working Together LLC. Whoever's a part of Citizens Working Together is the group of citizens that we better be careful for, and these are the ones that are going to be out there watching us. And now you understand how the Illuminati crap was just some Christian cover-up. And I'm a Christian, I'm saved, but understand the devil reads the Bible too. And that's why I encourage Christians to read more than just the Bible. I don't need nothing but the word, nothing but the word of God. Okay, that's fine if you're just talking about going to heaven. But if you're talking about living well on earth, the Bible tells us so many things. And wisdom, with all that getting, get understanding. If you don't understand how your world works, you can have Jesus all day. You still gonna be broke. Okay, campaigns are prohibited from accepting contributions from certain types of organizations. Corporations, a partnership or LLC with corporate partners may not attribute any portion to the corporate partners or members. So if he's a part of this LLC, they're not supposed to be standing behind him in this statement. Now, I want everybody to notice how the law still hasn't made it here. It's because if citizens aren't standing, this is happening in every ghetto across the world. You can talk about this all day. If you all aren't standing up, people like me are going to have to leave. We're going to have to seek refuge somewhere else like I've had to do. And guess what? My feelings are not hurt, because guess who can make room for her family? I can, anywhere I go. But those of us who are left here and have you've got to open your head, open your heart, cool. Open your head. Put something in there. Jesus is great. The Bible is great. But these code books to help know where your money is going, this is your right. You better read that stuff. And it's the reason why they have it long and complicated. Because they know is the moment you crack that website open and you go into those pages, I'm not finna read all this stuff. We'll go into how to research and get to your answers quicker. And I used to teach this, but that's why they got rid of me. I'm going to teach you guys how to strategically search, but that's for another day. All right, so candidates' salaries or wages are personal if the compensation was made prior to his candidacy. Okay, in consideration of work not performed, it is generally considered a contribution from an employer. So in other words, if this LLC is paying him still and he's an elected official and he's only supposed to be mayor right now, he's not supposed to be working with these other, or if he is working with them, they're supposed to be kept separate. It's a prohibited move. You cannot do that. Charitable organizations are prohibited from making contributions in connection with federal elections. Tax money having to be passed, that's not only state, that's federal. All of this is in violation of the law. Okay, you cannot do this, you guys. So public statements made on behalf of an organization in favor of or in opposition, these are things that are prohibited from LLCs if an elected official is a partner or a part of it. You can't make statements on behalf of anything in favor and add that LLC if you're a part of it. Corporate contributions are prohibited. And it also applies to the personal and business funds of sole proprietors of businesses with federal contracts. So if this company is receiving any federal money to help Tallulah, once again, I'm just showing you how he's breaking the law, and everybody wants to talk about people like me who are trying to help. Now, let me tell y'all something about the word of God. Elijah was a prophet. Isaiah was a prophet. People call them crazy, and that's why I've never mind. I told the Lord, we're going to make this fun. We're going to make this fun so that the next little girl that has to be the lookout for the world, she can be that woman crying in the wilderness, and when they call her crazy, you'll understand why. Okay, so corporate contributions are prohibited. It also applies to the personal and business funds of sole proprietors of businesses with federal contracts. An individual in his or her own right as a sole proprietor may not make contributions using any funds under his control. So is this why we don't want to see the books? Are there contributions that are coming in that's keeping the salaries fueled, but then they're using our money for something else too? Like, what is going on in Tallulah, baby? So the mayor keeps calling himself a CEO. So let's look at the job descriptions. Let's just go ahead and humor you, Mr. Mayor. Since you want to continue to call yourself CEO and you're the strongest, you must have a bachelor's of arts degree or a master's in business administration. Not a business administration degree. I'm sorry, a bachelor's in business administration or a master's in business administration. If you have not fulfilled those requirements, I'm sorry, sir, you are not a CEO. You must have experience in senior management positions and knowledge of profit and loss. You must have balance sheet and cash flow management. Now, we haven't seen any of this, Mr. Middle Management Mayor. But since you want to be called a CEO, we're going to tell you how to beef it up so that you can become the strongest one in this island that you are living on in your head. Leadership role. As a CEO, it entails being ultimately responsible for all day-to-day management decisions for implementing long and short-term plans. So we've read all these different articles where the city has received $22 million in grants. We had $1.5 million from Mayor Beckwith. We've had different times where different articles have come up where the mayor was just saying how blessed he was and how he's bringing money in. But we've seen no road repairs. And like I told you all, when you see your roads break down like that, that's the first sign that your water is no good. Okay, when you go to a major city, do you see roads flooded? No, that water flows under the city into the sewer. Okay, so if this is in New Orleans, we have, New Orleans is below water level. That's how they flood. We are above water level, sea level. So we have room to dig. And anytime you see your roads start to disintegrate to where they're basically no longer flat, but they're curved like this, they're buckling. Okay? So basically, Tallulah is buckling under, and nobody's even telling us that. And this is the thing about it. No, I am not a person who has been trained in that area. But notice how out of all the people he has coming up there, he has no one talking about this information, but everyone talking about money. Now, I asked the question, can a CEO withhold the books? No. Shareholders are what taxpayers are, Mr. Mayor, if you're calling yourself a CEO. And shareholders have the right to inspect the books and records. Now, court intervention may come. The mayor filed suit against Miss Gwen Payne. She is a reporter. So he's letting us basically know that each of us are individually at risk of having to go to court if we want public documents. As of yet, I still don't know if she's received that information. We're going to leave that for the Madison Journal to find out. We may have to do a little class action suit on the mayor ourselves, as well as start the petition to have him removed, depending on which one will be the most successful. because he does not mean to comply to the rights of the shareholder if he wants to call himself a CEO to see the books. Now, there is a law called Writ of Mandamus. And this is, all of a sudden, you guys, he just did this like 5 hours ago. So I'm just, enunciating as best I can, which means that a CEO is forced to perform ministerial acts required by law that he refuses to perform. So if he wants to continue to call himself a CEO, that's fine. You're still responsible to take care of the bottom line. And the bottom line is not your pocket, Mr. Mayor. It's the city. See, you're looking at CEO as in a corporation. But even if you were in corporate America, sir, you would be fired because you've misappropriated funds and you aren't even willing to let people see the books that you are keeping. So this is the information that I've compiled this quickly, you guys. It's 6:28 p.m., not bragging, but I can do this all day long. Now, it is up to the citizens of Tallulah who have called me crazy, who say I'm allergic to weed when they know that I'm fighting for the legalization of cannabis all across this nation. It's on my Facebook page. When I have said how marijuana stops cancer, when I have tried in every aspect I could to be respectful, people have come at me in a manner to make it seem as if I am ill repute. Don't let people continue to do this to you, Tallulah, and the world. Hillary Clinton had a game plan for the nation, and we let Putin, because when she was Secretary of State, she saw him not treating the Russian people right, and she called him an enemy of America. He partnered with Trump to rig an election so that Trump can be Boris Yeltsin, and whomever this person is that they're trying to bring in after Trump will be that Putin. All this talk about universal health care, it sounds really good, but if you look at most of the countries with universal health care, if you don't have money, it doesn't matter the wait time. All the hospitals are like state hospitals where you're basically just under experimental watch. So it's not necessarily the best form or tact, and it is like communism. Now, I want people to learn to think for yourself. Okay, if I was somewhere and people have used me for grant writing, all this different stuff, if you people aren't paying, don't call my phone for nothing, because you're getting all my information and still doing dumb stuff. Okay, I could be somewhere with my own shingle in my own office. Don't call me for projects, proposals, help with classes, or nothing else until I see you citizens of Tallulah stepping up to the plate and stepping like you would if you were at the club getting your Jordan stepped on.